On the 13th of July 2024, supporters of former United States President Donald Trump gathered at Pennsylvania's Butler Farm Show for a presidential rally building up to the 2024 US presidential elections. Little did they know that the speech by the Republican presidential candidate would turn into an internet-breaking sensation. Despite the headlines, what happened can only be referred to as a miraculous event. It was barely 15 minutes into Trump's speech when the first shots were fired. More shots continued to be taken at the former president until a bullet grazed his right ear. Trump was immediately surrounded by Secret Service agents, and corresponding shots were taken by the Secret Service in the direction of the shooter, who was eventually confirmed dead. Trump survived this incident, with several surreal images of him circulating online as he threw his fist up in the air with a bleeding ear, surrounded by Secret Service agents and the American flag waving conveniently behind him. But what happened at that rally? Why would they try to kill Trump? As much as the media paints Trump as a dangerous right-wing conservative, US President Joe Biden is right when he said, "There's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this." So who would go as far as trying to assassinate a presidential candidate on home soil in a friendly crowd? According to Romans 13:1 and 2, there is no governing authority except that which God has established. No one would be allowed to rule in a position of authority except God has allowed it so. Going by the Holy Scriptures, regardless of who is in power, the government is either the will of God or it is what the times demand, and God has willed it so. If we turn to the books of Daniel and Revelation, Scripture predicts a one-world global government that will come after the rise of a confederation of 10 nations, which many have likened to the present-day United Nations. We find that in Revelation 13 and Daniel 7, where Daniel and John see visions of great beasts that have been given power to rule over kingdoms of the earth. It is also stated in Scripture that from this confederacy the Antichrist would arise and rule over all. He will subdue his fellow rulers and establish a satanic dictatorship. If the United Nations indeed has any role to play in the end-time governance, the United States would be at the center of the topic. Recently, a global IT shortage affected hospitals, banks, and various businesses due to a system software update by the IT company CrowdStrike. This update, intended to bolster the effectiveness of operating software, instead caused widespread malfunctions, halting operations across these sectors. The incident has struck doubt in the hearts of many and exposed the vulnerability of the world's interconnected technology. This interconnectedness is a biblical end-time occurrence, something the Antichrist would capitalize on when establishing his new world order. It's also interesting to note that CrowdStrike is an American company operating under the American administration, which places the country at the center of end-time occurrences once more. One of Trump's controversial manifestos is his foreign policy ideologies. Many have predicted an impending falling out with several world powers if Trump is re-elected, and that opposes the scriptural narrative of a united world governance. As a right-wing conservative leader, the Trump administration also has the backing of the majority of the United States Christian community. So many signs point to Trump being on the right side of scriptural predictions. However, it would be foolish to make the mistake many have made in biblical end-time events that are not clearly stated in scriptures. One thing we can conclude about Donald Trump's political agenda is that much of his present manifestos threaten the Satanist agenda. The attempts to imprison him as a convicted felon appear to not be enough, so they attempt to take his life.